Hey guys and ghouls, welcome back to the Cozy Ghost. I'm your host October, and welcome to a new series that I'm going to call Cozy Ghost Game Reviews, where I'm going to be reviewing a bunch of games that I like and that I've played. So, I might seem a little exasperated in this video because I actually filmed 2 of these already. But when I went to go look at the videos, it had no sound, so you couldn't actually hear any of the points that I made. So, if I seem a little tired or a little irked, that's why. So, let's just get right into it. The game that we're going to be talking about today, if it is not obvious, is Five Nights at Freddy's. Specifically, the first one, although I'll touch a little bit on the other games. Five Nights at Freddy's, the series of games, is my favorite game series of all time. It is not my favorite game of all time, but it is my favorite game series of all time. I'll explain my favorite game in a different video. So, I have a list of criteria about why a certain game is good or why a certain game is not good. So we're going to be going down that little criteria checklist while I give my honest review of this game. First of all, let's talk about the history of Five Nights at Freddy's. Five Nights at Freddy's came out in, I think, 2013. It was from an indie creator, Scott Cawthon, and it was the first of its kind, pretty much, because up until that point, horror was basically you're making choices you don't want to make, you're walking around, these things come and scare you. That's the fear, that's the ambiance. In this game, however, you are stuck in place, you cannot move, there are people coming for you, animatronics specifically, and you only have these doors to protect you, and you're running out of time pretty much. So, that was the premise. And it created this whole new, pretty much, genre of horror games, which is, still very prevalent today. Although some people are getting tired of it, but that's a different video. Technologically, it was a pretty interesting concept at the time because no one had seen that kind of game before, where you're literally just in an office looking back and forth, opening doors and clicking buttons, and that's how you survive. That had never been done before in a way that became popularized, and obviously the game was popularized by creators like Markiplier and Yummy Mash, Jacksepticeye, all those creators made it big. So that's why it got so popular, and it created this whole community pretty much, which is why I really like the game, because the community and the different YouTubers and the more games and the fact that a lot of the games were based off of the community's feedback was just so awesome to me. Anyway, that's the tech, that's the technology, that's the time. Let's go with visuals. First of all games have to have visuals and sound and whether or not they're good. This game has exceptional visuals in the fact that they're very simple, but they get across everything they need to. There's a lot of really well done environmental storytelling in this game, especially with the literal environment changing to tell you different parts of the story, like our example here and here. Pause to check those out a little bit longer. You can also do a little bit of your own research if you feel like it. But basically, the game has these posters that'll tell you the story, or there's the fact that all of the technology in front of you tells you what time this is, where you are, what is happening. So that's a really good example of how the visuals are a really good way of setting the tone of the game. And it's kind of it's one of my favorite Five Nights at Freddy's games, specifically because it has this very specific ambiance that makes you nervous, makes your skin crawl pretty much. I tried playing the second game, that video didn't work out, but the second game lacks that ambiance. It's still a good game and it's still a scary game, but it lacks the nerve-wracking ambiance of the first game. Sound-wise, the ambiance again is very sound-based, and that's why it's, in my opinion, it's better than the second game, but that's just me, because the sound ambiance that comes with the music, the sound cues, the phone calls, it is all just so good. It really makes you nervous because you can hear the time ticking by, you can hear them moving around. There are all of these little audio cues, and they just build up the story even more. So story-wise, there's actually a really good story in my opinion, because you have to replay the game and really pay attention, and it's really luck-based to get most of the story, because it's in these hallways, and you just get a flash of it, or it's in these phone calls, and it's not very obvious. It's kind of a subtle story, but it's a story that kind of captured people's attention because it had never been something that had been, like, popularized at all. Like, the idea of children's entertainment being the reason that they get injured and killed. So that was a whole interesting piece. And also the bodies stuffed in suits. I'll have a whole episode on FNAF lore at some other point. So that's the story, and the lore of the series just, I love it so much. It is so good. But that's, again, another video. For gameplay, it's kind of simple. And it's easy to get down what you're doing. But also, like, the way the difficulty ramps up makes it so that it's easy to get lost in the game, and, like, your attention is fully drawn in. You cannot pay attention to anything else because you'll die. So I think the gameplay is really well done in that sense. The scares are pretty good for the time, especially, because it's like, okay, compared to some other games, sure, but at the time, that shit was scary as fuck. Like, Freddy just in the corner with the, like, Torture March playing, you're like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god! And the threat of the lights turning off and you being pretty much screwed, praying for 5 a.m. to hit that 6 a.m. turnover, it was just iconic. And, like, so much about it is iconic. And again, you can replay this game over and over and over, and a lot of people do, because the difficulty ramps up, and personally, I can't beat Night 5, and so I probably never will, because I'm more into the story than the actual scares, but it's still a really good game, like, if you just want to play the first couple of nights, and if you're not good at games like me. So that's another reason I really enjoy it. The characters, they are so iconic. You've got Foxy, Freddy, Chica, Bonnie, Golden Freddy, then there's Phone Guy. Hello, hello. Iconic. Like, they just make the entire series. There's Carl the Cupcake behind me. Just, God, it's so iconic. And it is for a reason, because, like, the characters themselves are just so enrapturing to look at, and, like, their story, the story that's tied to them, and the personalities that's tied to them, is just, like, mwah. It's not a choice-driven game, obviously, but, like, you can choose whether or not you die, so there's that. It really does set a very tense and nerve-wracking mood, because you're trying to survive. This is supposed to be an easy job, just a night watch job, but no, your life is on the line every night for, like, what, $100 a week? Screw that shit. It's just, very tense. I think the first game is free. I don't think I paid for it.
Nope.
So for me, that's very much worth the price. And it's very much worth the hype as well. Like, the first game holds up, surprisingly. So it's like, for me, it's definitely worth the hype, worth the price. It is worth it to play, especially because of the impact that it has had on the gaming community, on, like, the game developing community. So, yeah, I would rate this game a 9 out of 10 stars. That last stars because I can't beat it. And a 5 out of 5 on Steam, probably. So that's my personal rating. If there are things that I didn't mention that you think I should have brought up, please let me know in the comments. If you disagree with any of my opinions, please bring that up in the comments. I very much appreciate it. And, yeah, if you liked what I said, hit that like button, subscribe. You can hear more of me. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you had a wonderful time watching this video, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye!